Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into this powerful, kind of invisible tool that really separates the experts from, well, everyone else. It's all about the ability to see the world clearly. And the best part? It's not magic. It's something you can actually learn. So, let's start with a little puzzle. Imagine two people, right? They're looking at the exact same business situation. They've got all the same data, the same context, but I guarantee you their outcomes are going to be wildly different. For one of them, a clear path forward just clicks into place. They see the opportunity, plain as day. But the other person, all they see is this wall of complexity, just confusion and roadblocks everywhere. Now, this difference, it isn't about luck. It's not about some kind of innate genius. It's about something way more fundamental. It's how they think. Specifically, it's about these invisible tools they use inside their minds called mental models. Okay, so what exactly is a mental model? Let's break that down because it's a game changer. Think of it like your brain's internal software, or maybe an even better way to put it is a map for how you think things work. I mean, you don't need to be a mechanic to drive a car, right? You have a simple mental model that says, if I press this pedal, the car moves. And that simple model guides your actions. Well, the same thing is happening with every single decision you make. But here's the crucial point. What if your internal map is wrong? What if it's built on beliefs that are incomplete, or maybe distorted, or just totally outdated? The danger of having one of these flawed maps, well, it's best understood with a pretty simple analogy. It's exactly like trying to get around a new city, but you're using a map for a completely different place. You've got a destination, you've got the energy to get there, but your main tool is just fundamentally broken. You can walk as fast as you want, you can try as hard as you can, but that bad map, it guarantees you're going to get lost. And in the world of business, this translates directly to missing huge opportunities, making poor decisions, and just getting that frustrating feeling of being completely stuck and not even knowing why. Okay, so let's make this super concrete. Let's look at some of these common, flawed business maps and put them side by side with ones that are way more accurate and a lot more powerful. Okay, here's a classic one. The flawed model says, starting a business is just this giant, terrifying risk. And that idea alone paralyzes millions of people. But a better model, it totally reframes it. It sees risk not as this big, scary monster, but as something you can actually manage and shrink just by starting small and testing your ideas as you go. Here's another mental trap. The myth of the perfect plan. This thing leads to endless overthinking, total analysis paralysis. The reality? You learn by doing. Action and adapting are so much more valuable. Think of your plan as a starting point, not some rigid script, because you can bet reality is going to throw you a few curveballs. And then there's the big one, right? I can't start because I just don't have enough money. This belief is a massive barrier. But a better mental model sees money for what it really is. It's just a tool. It's not a prerequisite. The real starting capital, that's your skills, your time, and your creativity. And finally, we've all heard this one. It's all about who you know. And look, connections are great, but a much more powerful model is to focus on creating real value first. Because when you have something valuable to offer, you naturally start to attract the right people and the right network to you. So, if our default maps can be so flawed, how do we consciously build better ones? How do we stop just relying on our own, limited experience? Well, we can actually borrow a brilliant idea from the legendary investor Charlie Munger. He talks about building a latticework of mental models. It's all about creating a really strong, interconnected framework for your thinking. So what does Munger mean by that? He means you can't just use one way of thinking. You have to actively go out and borrow the big cornerstone ideas from different fields. So for example, you might use an idea from economics, like supply and demand, and combine it with a principle from psychology, like social proof, to really understand why a product is suddenly so popular. It's about seeing the full, multi-dimensional picture. Now, what's so great about this is you don't need to become an expert in everything overnight. That's not the point. The real shift isn't about memorizing hundreds of models. It's about changing how you approach learning itself. And it really all starts with 4 powerful habits. First, instead of just memorizing the steps to do something, always ask, why does this actually work? You want to find the principle underneath. Second, actively challenge what you think you know. Constantly ask, is this really true? Third, learn across different fields. Read about psychology or systems theory or anything outside your usual zone. And finally, and this is the most important one, you have to apply what you learn. These models are useless until you test them out in the real world and refine your own mental maps. And all of this brings us to what is probably the single most important takeaway from this whole idea of mental models. So many people try to change their actions or chase different results without ever changing the underlying thinking that's driving them in the first place. But that's like trying to get to a new city using the same old wrong map. It's never gonna work. And here's the thing. This isn't about your IQ or how many degrees you have on the wall. It's about the clarity and the accuracy of the mental models you use to see the world. I mean, a person with average intelligence who's using the right map will always outperform a genius who's using the wrong one. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Take a really honest look at your own map of the world. What's the one flawed belief, the one outdated mental model that's holding you back right now? Because finding that one thing and upgrading it, well, that could change absolutely everything.